Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hermitcraft. And in this one, we are going to start work on our underwater aquatic PvP arena. Yeah, that sounds really impressive, right? And the plan for this place was to have a space where I could come over and doodle, do redstone projects, build farms that didn't really fit into a tower design, and all of that is still going to be so. But down here in the basement, we are now going to be flooding this and turning it into a PvP arena. So I've spent my morning doing some preparations because the first thing that I want to take on is a Trident Farm, which will be the weapon of choice for players in this game. Now, last episode of Hermitcraft we took a trip back in time, and I guess we're doing that again in this episode because last season of Hermitcraft, Season 6, there were two types of Trident Farm built. This first one was by Stress Monster, and it revolves around having water in the river biome up in the sky. So if we look down, you can see there is a river down there. Drowns are able to spawn in them, but because of perimeters and all of that, it's been built up here in the sky, and then the drowns, they all track to this central spot here where you can then kill them. The other type of Trident or Drown farm that we could build also appeared on Season 6. This is where you have drowns spawning at the bottom of an ocean, and then you lure them in with a trap and bring them up to a killing area up the top. And this is the design that I wanted to build in my base. The reason I wanted to do this is because it would add another tower, another design we can make that would be visible from other locations. And as you can see, that would be right over here. I kind of planned this thing so that if we, the player, would stand right on top of this scaffolding, then we'd have the means to make a very good perimeter. And I tell you, trying to land on scaffolding from flying, it's kind of like an art form. It's super difficult. Look at this. Wow. So now I have my camera account on the server, and I have a mod running on this client, and it's not going to interact with the world in any kind of cheaty way. This is going to create a visual aid. So if I go to where I, the player, am, and I open up the menu, we're in the shapes bit right here, I can add a Despawn Sphere. This is going to create a visual aid to show us the area at which mobs will instantly despawn. And can you see the way that it lines up with the coast right here? This is absolutely perfect for a drowned farm. It means that we just have to modify the coast a little bit by throwing down some torches or removing some blocks, and then the drowns will be spawning down here in the ocean, and we just got to lure them into the middle with a trap. Now, there are a few things that can lure the drowned in this game. Turtle eggs is one of them. But you might notice this drowned doesn't seem particularly interested. I don't know if this is a bug in the current update of Minecraft, but they no longer pathfind towards the turtle eggs. Doing some further research, I've learned that the drowns will come to beaches with turtle eggs at night and stample on them. However, when underwater, they just don't pathfind to them whatsoever. Even when they're surrounded by air blocks like this, the drowns are just not interested. The other option is a villager. That one just got converted, and I think this is the way we're going to have to move forward. But a moment ago, I was having not a lot of luck of creating a contraption that works with the villager. So I tried to then modify it to work with the turtle eggs, and that wasn't doing anything either. So I have no idea why they no longer track turtle eggs. I've been looking up tutorials online, and ones for 1.16 seem to indicate that they do. Maybe it's a bedrock difference from Java, but anyway, the drowns certainly don't go after a villager that's surrounded by blocks. You have to have a gap somewhere so it can create a line of sight with the villager, and there's two ways that you can do this. You can have some trapdoors like so, and a villager down there in the middle, and the drowned will go after it, or you could put cobblestone walls and fence posts on either side so there's also a gap. But then there is a bigger problem if you choose to have a gap to lure the drowned in. Okay, we got two Trident guys here, and what they'll do is they'll shoot through the gaps at the villager in the middle. That's if they don't actually get sucked up by the water stream, but I have seen it where they just park themselves outside and shoot at the villagers, so that's kind of a no-go. So to make a long story short, I don't have a design that's going to work over here right now. I know a lot of you are probably going to point me in the direction of some YouTube tutorial, but I've been checking them out, and even though they have turtle eggs, it just doesn't seem to work in this update. So maybe that's something that got broken and nobody noticed. So not all hope is lost. I've come over here to Hypnos Base, and Hypno has already built a drowned farm here on the server this season, and it's the type that I was less keen on, where you build it inside of a river biome. It looks like he's done a really cool job of making this thing look a little more orderly. and coloured it with some prismarine blocks as well. This is a very neat and smart design right here. And I spoke to Hypno, and he was kind enough to let us know that we could use his farm to get tridents for our PvP game. Would you look at that? We've got one drowned already, but no trident. Anyway, these things drop something else very important that we're after as well. However, we're going to have to wait because it's busy online, and this farm being built up in the sky is probably going to work best when I'm the only player online. Now, I don't know entirely how it works, but that drowned is going to get funneled along here and then into a killing chamber. So if you want to see how he did it, it's episode 11 of Hypnos Hermitcraft Season 7 series. And this is the killing chamber, and then I assume the items get pushed over towards you into this hopper and they go down below. And there is something else very important that we can get from using this farm, which is why I set out to build my own straight away, which is not what we're going to be doing. That is the Nautilus shell. We're going to need a bunch of these to create probes, the conduit probes, for our arena. We want our players to be able to see underwater. So this is going to be a crucial farm for getting two very important items. Now might just be a good time to AFK. We've got just myself online, and as you can see, the drowns are spawning in. Let's see what we can do here. Look at my face. Look at my ugly, ugly face. What has gone wrong? So I got a salmon head from this. I like the way it's changed. It's red at the back, green at the front. Really, really cool. We also got a couple of drowned heads as well, but as you'll see, we got ourselves a trident. This is superb. Of course, we need many, many more. And down below, we also got all of this loot as well. I separated mine from Hypnos, and look at that, 8 Nautilus shells. So I think I know what we're going to do next. We're going to go in search of the heart of the ocean, or the sea, I forget what it's called, and craft ourselves a conduit probe. Before we set out on this adventure, I just want to mention it again, why I don't want to build this in my own base and convert it into a tower. It's just too tall and big. I feel like if we were to put this farm in our own base, it would just end up not really working with the vibe we got. It is now adventure time, and this is Hypnos Base, where we're currently located. And what we want to do is find some of the ocean that hasn't been explored that isn't too far away. And if we go downwards here, what you're going to see are these unexplored areas where the black darkness is. So if we head on over to the map area, you can see right here, and head downwards, there is a lot of ocean in this area that hasn't been explored. And there goes the world's biggest pyramid. I think it's just ridiculously big. This really was a long ways away. But there you go, there are the maps. And now we've got to start exploring this area for some shipwrecks. Got to get our hands on a map. Okay, so the first shipwreck that I find, we get a buried treasure map. Let's just hope this isn't one that someone's explored already. There is a high possibility of that. Turns out it's actually really close by. Somewhere down here. Remember, X marks the spot. Hey, there we go. That wasn't too difficult. And yes! First attempt, we got a heart of the sea. That's it. We can head back now. That took me no time whatsoever. Of course, I'm going to collect these other goodies. I mean, diamonds, TNT. Who wouldn't want those? Hey, look, we're actually right out next to the world border over here. I guess that explains why people didn't explore in this direction. I am searching for a few more of these, and I find loads of sand over here in the water, and someone's thrown their map onto the ground. Just kind of amused me how, yeah, we know that one's been raided. And with this shipwreck, the treasure was right next door, and this will be our 4th Heart of the Sea. So we need 4 of them for the game that we're going to create, but one of them I need to use right now. As you can see, there is a coral reef. This is thousands and thousands of blocks away from where any of the other hermits are. We set up a beacon for instant mine. We got the conduit power going on, and now we can start to harvest some of these blocks. And so I spent about 25 minutes out here just swimming around, mining all of that coral, trying to get some of the fans and the tube blocks or whatever they're called on top of there as well. And as you can see, we've made a bit of a dent, but here's the thing, I didn't really bring enough shulker boxes with me, and I've probably actually got enough of these coral blocks to do what I want to do. But before we leave this place, one of the things that I would do is I would mine like this and try and aim around at all the fans and the tubes or whatever we're calling these things, right? Because when you're drifting downwards, you don't instant mine them, so you can kind of pick a few more of them up. And then when you do this, you get the blocks, and I try to aim those things thirst, just so we can pick them up, but I don't mind if some of them get wasted here, as I'm really here just for the blocks. And then after I've done a big patch, way bigger than what we got right here, I just spend my time swimming around and picking them all back up again. It's a pretty peaceful process, you know, there's nothing really out here that can harm you, although I did bump into a couple of pufferfishes and get poisoned. Speaking of which, there's actually a couple of them around here, which is why I brought a whole bunch of buckets with me, right? Oh, and I totally forgot to bring Prismarine with me, but luckily there were a few blocks in my ender chest. And I've also set up a portal here, so I'm going to use the Never to get back since I'm like 10,000 blocks away. And I'm going to take the coordinates of this place in case I ever need to come back. I can try and fly to this portal and, yeah, save me some time. Well, it's home sweet home, and this place is just beautiful at night time. And we're going to head straight back into the arena, because before we can start doing anything down here in terms of our underwater PvP game, I kind of need to touch up these walls. As you can see, the bone blocks and other materials don't make their way all the way down to the bottom, so we're going to go around here and tidy it all up. And now the area looks very clean and pristine, a huge improvement. And also here in the middle, we're going to have sand on the floor for this part of the arena. And while I was out there collecting the sand, I was mining on the shoreline and I actually found a chest. That's a buried treasure chest underneath the sand. And inside of it, another heart of the ocean, although I don't need an extra one for this arena. But anyway, the next steps over here are to put in some windows. Okay, I want to have glass going from the bottom to the top around here. And that means that the honey idea that we had from a few episodes back, it's no longer going to be a thing. So I'm actually going to rip all of this out. So this cyan glass window looks really good over here. And over where there's more terrain, it also looks really good. So I think that gives us the go ahead to put it in on all of the sides here. So with all of our windows in place and the middle region of sand here expanded, I believe that we are actually ready to flood this entire place. And I've been brainstorming and thinking about how to do that during a live stream and come up with something pretty fantastic. What we're going to try and do is use flying machines to create water sources going from one side all the way to the other. Okay, I've got some materials together and we are literally going to be winging this. Okay, I kind of know how to make a flying machine, and we're going to have to build it with slime blocks above two slabs like this. If I put another one here, in theory, when that moves along, it's going to create water sources. Okay, my first problem is I don't actually know which way this is going to fly, but if I put two slime blocks there, I believe activating this will push it in that direction, then the other one will pull. And immediately the water source blocks are gone. Can I land on this thing to stop it? Yeah, apparently I can. Break that block, break that block. There we go. Job done. This time our slabs have been lowered. Let's hope that that's the difference that we need. And again, I think I want to break that one first. Ah, and they're not waterlogged. Right. Not sure how other flying machines do this then. So having looked at some other videos, the common thing seems to be that you're supposed to have a block between the two of these. Yeah, and they often have lots of other blocks around them as well. Now I think I understand why. It's because you need to force this to create a source block in the middle, which it doesn't by default. Pretty sure this ain't gonna work, but let's fire it off anyway. Oh, no, don't come back here. I'm not sure why it did that, but we lost our water source blocks. So I went back to the drawing board trying to do the very basics, and yeah, this thing's actually been removed from the game, right? Although I was chatting to El Mango, and there is actually a way to move the waterlogged block, but it's supposed to have been removed. So the one type of way you can do it is just by pushing it forward with a piston with the tick length of an observer, and then it will actually create the water source again. That's the only way you can do it. If you push and pull them with pistons in any other way, you can see that the water disappears. So I tried attaching this to my flying machine. It didn't work, and I'm thinking I am just spending too much time on this. There is a much simpler way of getting this done. And before we flood the arena, I actually have an update on the drowned farm over here. I managed to get an overnight session in, and the results have been fantastic. But first of all, I made a modification over here to hold the player in this position, because one time I came back to the computer and instead of standing here, I was over to the side and I couldn't figure it out. But then I realized that the occasional fish is actually able to make its way up to this top bit. And if it manages to get out without me hitting it, then it can actually nudge me, the player, around, and so I ended up facing the wall and therefore not hitting the drowns. And brace yourselves for the loot, because we got a lot of it. This is surreal. Like I said, had a really good overnight session here. A full shulker box worth of tridents. Guess what? There's more. There's all of this as well, so we got more than enough for our PvP arena now. And that is just fantastic. Aha! So, do you see what we're going to do here? We're going to break all of the ice. And then we're going to remove all of the dirt. But you're probably thinking that this is a flawed plan, because it's only going to create source blocks at this level up here. As you can see, they're not even spreading out yet. Oh, the way this shakes my screen is awful. I'm feeling slightly nauseous. With all of the dirt removed, there is one thing that I need to complete this now, and it begins with the letter K, and it is knowledge, okay? Not kelp. No, it's knowledge of kelp. Kelp is going to be our secret weapon here, okay? So if I go underneath where the source block is, and I can kind of tell where that is because of how this is like every other block, and I place kelp like this is actually going to create source blocks going all the way to the very top. So each time I place this, water source is created, then one will be created between the two of them, right? And you can see it's extended out now, so we just got to do that around this entire arena. So here I am going through, building up those pillars of kelp from side to side. Just a pretty slow and tedious, boring process with nothing really too much more to say, but there you go, I did it. So this is it, the moment of truth, okay? We may be unleashing the great flooding. We are, I can see. It's working. It's working, my friends. Or is it? Well, it turned out that there were some blocks down at the bottom that were in the way of spreading the water sources out. And so as I removed those, I also learned that the lower level next to the sand meant I had to go down there and place some kelp. But then it started to spread out. And look at this. It just looks beautiful, doesn't it? Well, this is it, my friends. No turning back now. We have flooded the entire arena. Of course, there are little gaps over the edge here, but that can be easily solved by dropping down some water and doing some kelp again. So I'll take care of that. And wow, this thing is ready to go. But we will have to wait, my friends, because I've been working on some other things in the area, notably our melon and pumpkin towers from the last episode. And down the bottom here, you'll see it's not the prettiest system, but it works. This right here has a little bit of redstone underneath to create a double pulse. The reason it has to create two pulses is because some of the items actually get caught on the ledges. Look at that, there's actually some caught there, so I can give it another pulse, and eventually all of the items get pushed off. So we've got melons on this side and pumpkins on this side over here. And don't you know it, I've derped again. So let's take a step back. Green, orange, green, orange. When I started placing these down, I didn't think about what side they were on. I just started building up the towers on the inside, and so they're actually on the opposite compared to the other side. Not a big deal, because I'm not going to need these blocks very often, but if ever I do need them, hey, I can pop over here and pick some up. And around the building, I've also filled in all the leaves, so it looks nice and clean, and mobs aren't going to spawn there. And then we have the pathways. As you can see, this one goes in a big old straight line, goes down a little bit, goes up again. It's in need of string to get rid of these vines, and also quartz down at the bottom. And here you can see it connects with the diagonal part. So going in the opposite direction, there were quite a few trees that needed sort of curving over to the side, so they were out of the way of the path, and this one just takes a right turn, it goes straight on. Here's another one of those ridiculous curvy trees, and further on it just turns to the right and connects up right here with the creeper towers. And yes, the missing element was quartz, so let's go and head on into the nether dimension. And I have been running the bartering system for some time. Now about 3 stacks of gold blocks worth of gold was chucked into this system, and it produced this much quartz. I don't know if that's good or not, but it's a fair trade because I didn't have to mine for any of this. So we can go ahead and chuck this into our smelter to turn it into smooth quartz for all of the paths down below. And while I'm over here, I wanted to let you know that there was another Hermitcraft livestream day planned for the weekend after this video comes out. So you know the deal, you can always head to livestream.hermitcraft.com to get links to all of the Hermit streaming, and of course the schedule is on your screen, so be sure to pencil that in to your calendar. And in other news that means I put images on the screen, EFO beat False in their standoff match. That means Cubfan is facing off against EFO and Joe Hills against Impulse in the next round. This can only end badly. Okay, terrible idea, but it seems to sort of be working. Keep going, I'm probably going to die. I was trying to fly through this thing. As you can see, I've gone round, trimmed up the edges with bushes, added lights, put string under the vines. The path is now looking glorious. Let's try it one more time. Look at that. Nice big straight to fly through there. So yeah, looking fantastic. And if you didn't put 1 and 2 together and get 3, we were smelting up the quartz to use for these paths, right? Because they were empty a moment ago. Anyway, I have another project to update you on. On the corner over here where my area meets Corralis's, we're going to be building a car park, and this is probably going to be the kind of project I just take care of on live streams, do little bits here and there. Anyway, the original plan was to actually extend the jungle all the way around the stadium, but this tree is kind of an example of how bad that will look. The grass will be, or sorry, the leaves will be very bright green on one side, and then when you go out of the jungle biome, it gets less and less green. So what we'd grow around here wouldn't look particularly pretty. And chatting with Corralis about his project over here, which by the way is just gorgeous, his trucks and whatnot in the area, we've got a road nearby, I thought it would just be a good idea to build a big old car park for the stadium, you know? Kind of makes sense. And the sun is setting. You know what that means? We need to check how our roads glow in the nighttime, because they do look fantastic. By roads, I actually meant paths. You can kind of see it cutting through here. Looking pretty glorious. Let's look over the shoulder as well. I love how these paths illuminate the jungle at nighttime. I've said that so many times, and now we have connected the creeper area to everything else. That's just wonderful. And while we fly around over our beautiful glowing base in this nighttime here on Hermitcraft, I shall say farewell, for we are wrapping up the episode. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like and support the channel. Thank you for doing that, and I'll be seeing you very soon with another episode of Hermitcraft. So, ciao for now. Bye-bye.